That's gonna be very close, I can tell you. Hi everyone and welcome back on the channel. My name is Alex and today we are doing something completely unexpected, at least when I got the two shoes. We're doing the battle of the fours, meaning the battle between the Saucony Freedom 4 and the Hoka One Mach 4. So the fours, fourth iteration for each shoe. Before that, just a quick heads up. Next video will be very exciting. I put it here not to forget about it. We have this shoe. I don't know if you know the brand, the model, the specs. We have this shoe for review on the channel. It's gonna be a great review and there's a huge surprise hidden somewhere. I'm not telling more, but yeah, I mean, fantastic stuff and fantastic sort of investigation behind this shoe, this model. So stay tuned for that. It's coming up next weekend, I guess. So stay tuned for this very exciting next video. But for today, we have the battle of the fours. And without no further ado, let's dive in, because this is gonna be a very tough one. I already looked a bit at the data and yeah, I think it's gonna be a very difficult one. I'm putting myself in a very uncomfortable position with this one because it's gonna be very hard. All right, so first of all, pace. I tested the two shoes at 4 minutes and 50 seconds per kilometer. That's around 7 minutes and 45 seconds per mile. Quite a relaxed, easy pace for me. Both shoes can go very well at higher paces, but for some reason this is the pace I decided to test them at. In terms of cadence and stride length, it's pretty much the same, and I think same is a word that you will hear a lot in this battle, but for the cadence it's pretty much the same. A little bit higher with the Mach 4, but nothing significant, so we won't spend too much time on this. On the efficiency part, the Freedom is slightly more efficient. It's a 4 watts difference, so it's slightly above the margin of error, within that margin of error maybe. But yeah, Freedom is slightly more efficient, and I would have thought the Freedom would be more efficient. That's the takeaway about efficiency, no big difference. Now in terms of midsole and rides, just a quick reminder, here we're looking at an EVA Profline midsole. So the darker yellow is softer than the lighter yellow, which is a rubberized EVA outsole. So it's that dual layer type of midsole outsole combo. And here on the Saucony Freedom 4, we're looking at the Power Run PB midsole. So it's the PIBA type of midsole here on the Freedom 4, the same midsole as on the Saucony Endorphin Speed, for instance. If you haven't checked the first impression review of this shoe, the Saucony Freedom 4, I really encourage you to go check it right now, upper right hand corner, and maybe come back here for the battle, because you can learn a lot about this shoe and how it was designed in the first impression video. In terms of stacks and drops, we are looking at 28 millimeters in the heel, 24 in the forefoot for the Freedom 4. It's a 4 millimeters drop. And 29 in the heel, 24 in the forefoot for the Mach 4. It's a 5 millimeters drop. That's a huge drawback. It's the battle of the fours. It's the video of the fours. Freedom 4, 4 millimeters drop. Mach 4, 5 millimeters drop. There's something wrong, Hoka. That should have been 4. I'm just kidding, but yeah. The weight here again, almost tempted to say same again here. It's not the same, 2 grams of difference, 253 here and 255. 2 grams difference in that 250, 255 ballpark. I was expecting the Mach 4 to be heavier, to be honest. I mean, I remember it as something a bit heavier, a bit clunkier on the feet, and it appears to be, same weight as the Freedom 4, so very interesting here as well. Durometer scores, and that's also something really interesting. So, I mean, you know, if you want to stop the video right now and think about it, but what would you think be the softest midsole between the PowerRun PB, PIBA-based midsole and the ProFly EVA midsole? I would have clearly said it would be the PowerRun PB, and here, big surprise. Same Durometer score for the midsole of the Freedom 4, the PowerRun PB midsole, and the ProFly upper layer of the midsole here on the Mach 4. Really interesting. Now the big difference, and there are some differences, so let's highlight them. The big difference in terms of Durometer is on the outsole part. So the rubberized outsole on the Freedom 4 is way harder and has a way higher Durometer score compared to the rubberized EVA outsole on the Mach 4. Here as well, I would have expected this one, the outsole, to be less firm than the very firm EVA rubberized outsole on the Mach 4. But overall, the combo is interesting. I mean, very often in the previous battles that we had, very often the shoe that had a firmer outsole also had a firmer midsole. And so that was, you know, that layering of scores. So it would have been, it's not the case, but it would have been Mach 4 Freedom, Mach 4 Freedom in terms of, you know, Durometer rankings. And here we have the same values for the midsole and a very different firmness, hardness for the outsole. In terms of dimensions of the midsole, the width, interestingly, the two shoes are almost identical in terms of width. You have the numbers on your screen, but almost identical in the forefoot. However, and here again, big difference, and I'm going to highlight it, the Mach 4 is way wider in the midfoot and in the heel. It's one of the widest heel that you have in 2021. Only the Invincible, I think, is slightly wider than the Mach 4 in terms of pure width. We're not talking about anything else here. It's only the width, the comparison of the width, and the Mach 4 is way wider, but I guess you can see it compared to the Freedom 4. We'll come back to that in terms of ride and recommendations, but indeed, that has an impact. The responsiveness, so we're looking at ground contact times, and it appears to be slightly more responsive on the Mach 4. I think that's mainly due to that combo of layers and but indeed, I mean, the Mach 4 is a bit more responsive, and the bounciness is also higher on the Mach 4, but that makes sense when you look at the Durometer, because the Durometer scores overall are lower for the Mach 4, therefore the combo is softer, and indeed the bounciness is higher on the Mach 4 compared to the Freedom 4. That doesn't mean that the Freedom 4 isn't bouncy or responsive. It's a very bouncy and responsive shoe as well. Well, not necessarily bouncy, but it has some energy return, a type of bounce at least to it, that energetic return, thanks to the PIBA-based midsole. And it also has some responsiveness to it. So the fact that the Mach 4 is a bit more responsive, a bit bouncier, doesn't mean that the Freedom 4 isn't at all. Next, we're looking at leg pounding, and as you know, we're looking at the shock metrics and the braking metrics. So the shock metrics, very simple, the amount of G's that you are putting on your legs when they are impacting the ground, and the braking, it's the deceleration and the impact from the deceleration when you are braking, when you are stepping your feet against the ground. Here there's a bit more shock, so a bit more pounding on the Freedom 4. That kind of makes sense to me because it's also the shoe with which I am experiencing more ground feel, so a bit more shock makes sense. And the braking is also a bit higher here, so yeah, essentially it means that you have more of that deceleration type of impact, but also more of that pure shock metric with the Freedom 4. In terms of motion metrics, we're looking at the foot strike type. So just for those of you who are new here on the channel, the foot strike type is a value going from 0, that's the pointy top, the pointy end of the heel here, up to 15. That's the pointy end of the forefoot, although you can go above 15, but essentially it's a scale going from 0 to 15, and it's open above 15, but that's the idea. So the higher the value, the more the foot strike happens towards the forefoot, and the lower the value, the more the foot strike happens towards the heel. So the foot strike is a bit more towards the forefoot on the Freedom 4 and a bit more backwards for me towards the midfoot here on the Mach 4. Very often I see a trend where shoes that have a bit more of that rocker type of geometry, like here on the Mach 4, I'm striking more towards the midfoot, I guess to make the most out of the rocker, and striking really forefoot here would you know, not make the best use out of the rockers. I think that's the reason why. Both shoes are very close again. The pronation is almost identical on the two shoes, and in absolute values that's quite low pronation numbers. So the two shoes offer that protection, let's say, against excessive pronation. Although again, pronation is not bad, I'm saying it each and every time, but pronation is a good mechanism. It's good when it's contained, and especially when it's not too violent in terms of angular speed. And so we're looking at the pronation velocity and the max pronation velocity. It's a bit higher on the Mach 4, which is a stable shoe in my book. So, but the pronation velocity is slightly higher on the Mach 4. All right, we're done with the data. Now let's go to the part when I'm using one word to describe each shoe. And I know some of you like this part, so thanks for letting me know that was useful last time we did the battle. So for the Mach 4, I will go with soft firmness. I could have been the other way around with something like hard softness, but I think soft firmness works better. I will go with protective and easy. It's an easy shoe. Not that it can only be used for easy days, not at all, but it's easy to grab, it's easy to run in. Yeah, it's easy. Now the Freedom 4, and you know that I like the shoe. Freedom 4 ground feel. First thing, ground feel, but without the pounding. So that fun and enjoyable ground feel. Natural, I'd say, and energetic. So ground feel, natural, energetic. And now we're going to the points. So let's look at each part of the shoe and let's attribute points. That's gonna be very close, I can tell you. All right, upper. More traditional on the Freedom 4, a bit more breathable and well designed on the Mach 4. Upper goes for the Mach 4. And the tongue of the Mach 4, there's no points for the tongue in my point system, but the tongue of the Mach 4 is great. It's like my favorite tongue of 2021, I think. It's just, you know, the right amount of padding, and you know, if you don't, just go and check the first impression review of the Mach 4 and the battle against, I think it's the Rebel V2, in which I'm discussing the tongue and how much I like it. Midsole, I'm going with the Freedom. I'm going with the Freedom simply because there's a bit more of that energy return and that ground feel that I really like and that I really missed on many shoes. Freedom for the midsole. Outsole, it's difficult because none of them is outstanding in terms of grip. None of them is bad either. I think I'll go with the Mach 4 for the outsole because I think you will get a better durability out of the Mach 4 outsole. But that's the only reason. Otherwise, they would be in the same sort of category for me. But the durability gives the point to the Mach 4. Laces, that's obviously for the Freedom. I don't like the Mach 4 laces. Fit. Fit is difficult because the Mach 4 is wider than most Hokas I run in. It has a good fit, but the heel is maybe the drawback, and the heel is the reason why I'm giving the fit point to the Freedom. The fit is more traditional. Everything is more traditional on the Freedom, but the fit works very well for me on the Freedom. It's that spot-on type of fit for me. Not too wide, not too narrow, good lockdown, good wrapping. The upper is a bit too thick, but the fit is okay. And here, the Freedom takes the point for the fit. And the price, that has to go for the Mach 4. The Freedom is not that bad in terms of price in the US, but in the EU it's 180 euros, way too high, whereas the Mach, you have it for $130 in the US, 140 euros in the EU. And value for price, Mach 4 wins it. Overall, which shoe do I prefer? And that's terribly difficult because, you saw my metrics. They're very similar. The sensations are different, but the metrics are very similar and... Oh, come on. Freedom 4. I prefer the Freedom 4. It's just more my type of shoe, I guess. I really like the Mach 4. It's probably the shoe on which I have the most miles in 2021. Maybe, I'm not sure, but I have lots of miles on this shoe. Not enough on the Freedom 4 yet, but I prefer the Freedom 4. More ground feel without the pounding, a bit more energy return, a great fit, and a great surprise. And that's thanks to you. Few of you, 2 or 3 of you suggested this shoe. I bought it, I reviewed it, and it's a great surprise. I love it, and it wins over the Mach 4. Now, I have to say, if at the end of the year 2021, I'm doing something like a top 5 of my favorite shoes of the year, I'm pretty confident that unless there's some, groundbreaking stuff being released in terms of daily trainers, tempo shoes until the end of the year, those 2 shoes will be in there. I'm pretty confident. So the Freedom 4 wins, but it's not like a clear cut like in the Magic Speed versus Endorphin Speed review or some other clear cuts. It's not the case. Well, that's it for today. If you enjoyed the video, please do not hesitate, hit the subscribe button, hit the thumbs up button, leave a comment. Let's meet in the comment section where we can chat and you can ask your questions. I can ask you questions as well, which seems a bit odd, but sometimes I have questions for you based on what you say and the experience you have in different shoes. Anyways, that's it for today. Don't forget, next weekend we're talking about the Craft CTM Ultra with that big surprise type of investigation thing going on here. I think you will enjoy it. So tune in for that next weekend if you want. In the meantime, have a great run today. I guess it's still time to go run somewhere in the world. It's not that late here either. So have a great run today, have a great ride. Go beyond your limits in your training this week and in your racing next weekend if we don't catch up in the meantime. And most importantly, guys, take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.